Hi, YouTubers. I am streaming. I will get better at having. Oh, you can see my cat stuff from here. Wow, this is dangerous. Yeah. I don't know how to set up the YouTube one. It's a little too much. You're seeing too much. Okay. Hi, Fitness, Amir, Rosario, Keith. Welcome, welcome. Thank you guys for being here. So, I'm sorry. Ah, it's too much. Okay, I need a studio. So I'm gonna start a Kickstarter one day so you guys can help me afford a studio because I'm broke being an adjunct and then working freelance. In the way I'm working, it's not working for me financially. And I said working like four times, talking about communication. But it's really not working for me because it's so much work, which is stuff that I love. I don't mind the work, but then the survival part is I should turn my life into. Oh, I see what's happening. Jesus. Okay, hold on. Now I understand. This is bad. Okay, now it's gonna be good. I promise. I need to end life. Okay, thank you for being here as well. I needed to end the live in the other side. I didn't connect one thing that was essential to connect. Thank you. Request one. Request denied. I guess because I was live already. It takes a while to know what you're doing. Oh, perfect. Okay, here we are. Thank you for your patience, everyone. I'm back. For telling your followers that you've started a live video. Thank you. I appreciate you, Instagram, for telling people. Okay, awesome. Thank you guys for being here. I haven't done the live for 2 days and it's already like, I don't know what I'm doing kind of thing, but here we are. So at least I can do that here, but I cannot do that here. So they can see the cat litter, cat water. It's fine. I have cats. And then I take oh my God, how can I don't know how I can avoid that from happening unless I do this, but then they're just seeing my face. It's just not gonna happen. The YouTubers are gonna see everything. I don't know if I would rather you see this or that, or I have to get closer. I'll figure it out one day. YouTubers, don't judge me. Or do, whatever. It doesn't matter. Hi, everyone. Hi, Lisana. Yon Wolf, Anthony. Hi, hi, hi. Thank you for being here. Okay, I'm going to stop being ridiculous with the things that are showing on this streaming side, but at least this is all good, and I'm proud of this one. So we're going to talk about miscommunication very quickly because I don't have a lot of time. I have a lot of things pending, but I did have a commitment with myself. This is like part of my self love. I said, okay, I have to connect with people. I have to at least go live. I can't just always be home creating my book or creating stuff. Like I need to also talk to people or talk to myself while people watch me. That's fun too. And then sometimes people comment, right? And sometimes people don't. Hi, Mamuri. So the reason why I chose communication is because I just had a moment where I think I completely miscommunicated, and sometimes when you communicate in groups and you try your best, it still happens that you're miscommunicating, especially with certain in regard to certain subjects, right? Like sometimes you fail to understand that when people are communicating, they just want to vent, right? They don't want your feedback or help, or even though they might actually be communicating and asking for that, mm, they don't necessarily want your help. Hi, who's giving so much love? Thank you. Hola, Grisela. Hola, Pizzas Rolando. Oh, thank you, Anthony. Ooh, ooh, thank you. I hope you're doing well in LA. I miss some things about LA, and it includes you. So one of the things that I've been noticing is I spent years feeling horrible about myself because as a Hispanic, I came here when I was 14 years old, so I couldn't communicate effectively the ideas I had in my head. And it wasn't even just an English problem. It was that if you understand human development, that sounds wrong the way I said it. You see? If you understand, you see how it can come across as like condescending. I'm realizing it now. For those of you who pay attention to the way your brain developed over the years, you know that when you're 14, 15, you're still developing ways of communicating, your identity, the way you want to do things. So I immigrated to America. My parents did it. It was not my choice. Okay. I didn't choose it. Not that I was against it, but it wasn't my choice. Okay. I was 14. Okay. So whatever. We immigrated to America. I'm having issues with the microphone. And oh, it's my energy. Oh, it's when I touch it. That's so interesting. When I touch my microphone, it makes a weird sound. So my energy must be vibrating high. I come to America and I really like talking and communicating. I'm an extrovert in a sense. So it was really hard for me to communicate my ideas effectively. I was always misunderstood either because I had an accent or because I didn't have a proper language in Spanish. I come from a household where there is a mix of Venezuelan, Cuban words, and I would say rebellious parents because my parents were like a little rebellious with society. They're like, well, that's what people say should be done, but this is what we're going to do. So a lot of rules were broken, which means for a child, you don't know structure because it wasn't given to you because your parents were rebellious against societal things, right? So that all of that to say that I realized that I wasn't doing a great job communicating because I had to have jobs since I was 16. And I realized how a lot of people would always make assumptions about my character quickly about I came across judgmental or mean or I don't know. And it's it was my accent, it was my way of communicating because of my household. And I'm not saying that I have no responsibility, but that's the part that I'm going to talk about. The part of responsibility was okay, I accept that I'm not the greatest communicator, so I'm gonna work on my communication skills. So I read, I went to school, I took criticism, I acted, I read plays, and I feel like I've taken a lot of feedback from people um, effectively, and I've tried to apply it to my life. Maybe I shouldn't say effectively. Maybe I should say that I do take people's feedback. I don't go, I don't care about anyone. I'm going to be me. Like, no, I care because I want to improve because I mean well. And I think you're not an effective communicator or you can't influence. Hi, Matthew. Hi, Lionheart. Um, I tried to wave. Okay, I waved. You can't be effective when you are not communicating well. So it's hard to influence people. And I always mean well, most of the time. If I don't mean well, I'll let you know. Because I have no shame when I'm like, F off, right? Anyway, so what happened to me was I went to school, I did all the essays, all the work, all the, slap in the hand by other ways of teaching. When I was going to school, there was a different way of teaching, which was based in shame and making you feel inadequate, right? People would point out the obvious, and that's not what it's used nowadays, which is, I'm not criticizing. I'm just saying I was brought up in a different generation. I feel like I improved my English, I improved my communication skills, and Now something else is happening to me. Uh, I'm coming across as a freaking cunt, meaning because I am. This is so funny because it's. Man, I feel like I want to go back in time and tell the younger me, like, hey, don't worry about trying to use the right words because if you do, then people are gonna feel that you're patronizing them or making them feel small. So I worked my ass off, like trying to use a different vocabulary, better words, right, to communicate effectively. And I still, to this day, when I read what I wrote, sometimes, like for example, I'm writing objectives for a syllabus for a class, and then I read it again. I'm like, oh, that's wrong, and I fix it because I care about effectively communicating. But the problem is, oh, this is so hard. I don't think people care anymore. I don't think people are communicating, to be honest. People misinterpret what you say because now it's more about, I want to be right about my intuition or how I feel about you or how you come across to me. And no matter what you say, I'm always going to interpret that thing that I originally feel. And so I've been feeling that lately, which is okay. I'll adjust again because I can. But it's kind of annoying because it's like, oh, I put all that work trying to communicate better, and the people that I'm now trying to communicate to seem to not understand what I'm saying. So I'm still working on trying to use different words, making maybe pausing a little bit more, but it's still a challenge. So I'm thinking, you know what? Instead of blaming others for miscommunication, I'm just gonna own it and be like, okay, I miscommunicated. Let me see how I can fix it. So, and this is not just for me, obviously, as an educator and as a person that speaks in public and in groups and a person that really means well, I'm going to go over the barriers of communication. There are certain things, and I'm using, oops, sorry. Ah, I am using Mastering Communication by Nikki Stanton. I could tell you about Nikki Stanton, but I actually, hi, Zaki. I actually want to talk about the barriers of communication. Okay, so number one, first barrier, we're going to talk about the differences in perception. The way we view the world is largely determined by our past experiences. So, people of different ages, nationalities, cultures, education, occupation, sex, status, personality, and so on will each have a different perception and will each perceive situations differently. Differences in perception are often at the root of many of the other barriers to communication. Oh, now I know why I wanted to do this thing. You see, I was reading and I was already thinking about something else. Oh, neurodivergent. So, yes, that's pretty much what happens to me. So, I'm trying to communicate, and some people are stuck in whatever they're thinking. So, no matter what I say, they're not present. So, my message is doing dead. So, I have to get better at taking a deep breath and waiting until people are ready to receive what I am about to say. When it comes to communicating, this is what started the whole thing. So I've been receiving, I have a lot, I have so many group chats on WhatsApp. I have family from Venezuela. I have people from the agency that I don't run an agency anymore, and I'm not a lead of a family anymore. However, I'm still part of those group chats. I have a group chat with the academy where I teach. I have a group chat with um, another place that I teach. I have so many group chats. It's ridiculous. So some of them I have muted, and some of them, the ones that I really care about, I don't mute because I think, well, this is important. Something might happen, and I probably need to stay connected. So we all know group chats, right? We all know how some people overuse it, some people don't use it at all, meaning they don't read the messages and they're lost. So groups are difficult to manage. Hi, group Davis. So because of the nature of group chats, I've decided that I'm going to treat it as if we are in a meeting room, right? You've all been there when you're in a meeting room or you're in a place where there's a lot of people sitting, there are people that are paying attention. There are people that are not paying attention. They're there, but they're not paying attention. There are people that are very vocal. There are people that are just paying attention but quietly. They don't want to let people know that they're there, right? So I've chosen to be present. And for 2023, no matter what, I want to be present because we'll die, right? And one day I'm going to die and not be present in all these things. Like, come on. So, of course, there are some others that I muted because I have nothing to add. I have nothing to say. I just, I don't exit the room because I don't want to be rude. I want to be like, oh, I'm part of this. Yeah, these groups are doing things. Awesome. But I barely ever read what's going on in those. Now, the ones that I do read are the ones that are obviously I'm like, not only I care, but I want to be like present and I want to participate. So something happened where somebody shared something a couple of times in different ways. And I felt that if I didn't speak out, this person was going to feel like, oh, nobody cares. Because in the communication this person was sharing, there was like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we doing? What are we going to do? Right. It was like, and of course, I'm giving it a certain tone. When we read, we're assuming there's a tone. Maybe it was more like, what are we gonna do? But I'm because I'm neurotic. I'm going, oh, this person is like, what are we gonna do? What are we doing? What are we doing? And I'm like, oh, the least I want to do, hi Nene, is ignore this person. So I added my 50 cents, right? I'm like, well, this is what I think. These are my 50 cents, right? I care about what you're saying. This is what I think about it. Um, and in a way, I feel bad having shared this, like, or having shared these thoughts in this medium, right? Because I don't think this is the place to share these specific thoughts, but I'm still going to do it so people don't assume that I don't care by not talking. That was my intention. But I definitely used the wrong words. I really did. I really did. Because first there was like silence, right? After like, that's how I felt like. And I can't give specific information about this, but that's how the chat felt like. And um I add my 50 cents. And usually, yeah, I'm intense, I'm dense. I add a lot of words because, like I just told you, I care. So, because I don't want to be misunderstood, I'm like, let me use a better word for that. Let me use a better phrasing. Let me use more words. Let me use examples. Like, I am a stupid. It's ridiculous how many things I consider before I communicate sometimes. And I think none of my intentions were received, to be honest. I think what people gather from it was shut up. I'm serious. Like, I feel like that was the thing. Shut up. That's what people gather from my message. Shut up. Don't talk here. Um, and don't be angry. And I read it again and I look at the responses and I read my message again. And I wish I could read it to you guys, but if I do, then it's gonna be like, let me see, it might not be. Hold on. Let me see if my iPad has it. And I read it again and I read it again and I'm like, where in my message did I ever say any of that? I was just so annoyed. But then at the same time, it's like miscommunication and it happens and I should have known. And I was even telling myself as I'm doing it, and I even wrote on the message, I know these are not the means. I know this is not the medium. And it still happens. So what I realize is that no matter what you do, you're still going to be misunderstood, right? And then I feel like, oh, I can actually read it. It's not that specific. And I'm going to blank things that could be specific. But listen to this. Okay, this is what I wrote. And this was in response, and I actually put reply to, right? Because there were so many messages. that were like, oh, action, action, we need to take action, right? So I was like, oh, I don't want this person to feel alone. So I responded to a message that was like, are we teaching artists or entertainment? Question mark. What is our motivation? And I'm like, oh, I'll respond. Because there were a few other questions that happened, right? So I said, okay, I'm going to respond respectfully. Wrong word. Wrong word. Because people are like, you're being safe. Um, because I believe silence is often more dangerous and leads to wrong assumptions. And I'm not apathetic to the subject. I don't know if I should share this. Okay. Okay. No, I don't think it would reveal the what. Um, so I'm gonna share the next little sentence. Even though I'm profoundly scared as a woman and a minority, I believe this WhatsApp group chat may not be an efficient place for discussion in regards to these matters. My intention. I'm sorry for typing all this shit here, right? That's my intention. Like, hey, I like doing these things in other ways, but I'm gonna do it here. Okay. This is what I think, and I'm gonna put it here because it seems like someone is saying asking questions, and I'm like, I don't want to ignore the person. I don't want to make the person feel bad. Um, and then I add my 50 cents. Let me see if I can read it without revealing what happened. Uh, um, no, I think okay, I'm just gonna bleep. Thank you guys. Hi, hello, hello. Thank you for joining. I'm gonna bleep the things that I think might reveal the what, the where, and the who. My third um, chunk, because I put it all in one. So I'm like, I don't want to bother anyone, right? It's gonna be all contained in one. So I write, I think this is not the medium. Again, apologizing, right? But I strongly believe that activism is a calling and one that has to be directed towards the proper channels. My mission is to present the facts and allow to respond in their own ways to efficiently come to an individual plan of action that would lead to a solution or debate. Hi, Lisana. I feel like we need a glass of wine. Yes, yes. Oh my God, miscommunication happens. And I don't drink, but I do need a day where I chill and relax. Maybe a pizza and I don't know, water. Maybe that's what I need. Maybe I should just drink and then try to reply to WhatsApp messages. A little tipsy. Okay, so that's the third chunk. Then the next one is bigger, and I'm gonna probably bleep things because it might come across as like revealing to the situation. And it wasn't anything bad. It's just that I felt bad that I missed that it came across as like miscommunication, right? So I said I trust that the and will find their way to effectively change. This is too. The dangers of a something something. I don't want the energy of activism a one person may possess to be diluted in venting on a chat and not create change where it matters. We have influence, social media, creative ideas, and the knowledge as mm, 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 to create change. Um, this is so telling. So I can't say that. I can't say that. These things brought certain conversations to by and and the work of inspire to analyze the mistakes we have made in the past. I am sure I am sure we're all doing our part. Outrage is never a good guide through these conversations. We are and we will continue to do our part, just like our ancestors did: education, art, music, plays, films, comedy, and any means to make sure we're not invisible. I don't see, I still don't, and I'm reading it to you guys, and I'm going nuts because I care, right? So I'm like, I don't see the part where I said, shut, like, be quiet, right? Maybe it's inferred. That's the part I have to fix, right? Um, so the answer goes, this is the answer from the person that I responded to, that I didn't want this person to feel ignored. Respectfully, let me see. Anger leads to action. Outrage is a part of passion. And then something like people need to be angry for change to happen. And then, is there another format we can continue the discussion? Um, I can read the rest because it's super telling, right? And then someone else adds, this is so bad. This is why group chats are controversial. Controversial. Uh, Somebody says something that's like, uh, hold on. If this person isn't allowed to express themselves about the things that are going on as then no one should be posting anything. What? Right? I'm like, huh? And then the response from this person is like, thank you for listening. I miscommunicated, and I feel like, oh no, I didn't have any intentions of the things that are shared there. Like, I didn't mean to make someone feel like, don't do this here, number one. Number two, I didn't say don't communicate. So I just, I didn't even respond anymore because I was like, you know what? I'm going to make matters worse because I already miscommunicated, right? So why? Hi, Black Frag, and bye, Orcato. So I honestly, I don't know how to fix it. And I think most importantly, my cat is up there and he wants to probably jump down. No, he didn't. Okay. Most importantly, I feel like people make assumptions on someone's character, and no matter the words you use, no matter how many years you're like, oh, I should use this word instead of that word, I should explain myself better, I should write a lot, I should apologize for writing it in the wrong place because it's lengthy and I just don't want this person to feel ignored. And I wrote everything, like I wrote all my intentions are written there. I don't want silence to be the thing, right? And then I said, I'm sorry for putting it here to everybody else, but these are my 50 cents, right? But miscommunication still happen because there are assumptions that other people make about my character, and that's fine. Because guess what? I have no control over what people think. I only have control over the things that I do. So you go, hey, you know what? Next. I can't focus on that, right? It's like, okay, um, but it is uncomfortable to have to see what people actually think of you because that's all that happened, right? Like, if you read what I wrote and you hear the responses, you just see the assumptions that people make about you. And I'm not gonna do the whole I'm a victim, but it's annoying. It sucks, but whatever. I mean, hey, you can't. Not everybody's gonna like me, and and that's not what I wanted. But I honestly wanted to kind of share with someone, like, hey, you know what? That force of wanting to make change is powerful. Don't dilute it in the wrong places because it won't make change in a place where everyone agrees with you, right? If I share with a group of people that agree with me how annoyed I am, and they go, yeah, that's annoying, and everybody's in agreement with me, The outrage, the anger, the passion, all of that went nowhere. It really did. Because everybody agrees with me. It's not the right kind of place to talk about certain things because everyone is in agreement. Oh, how safe of you. And the idea when we're really talking about making change or making things happen is that we have these conversations in places where people are not going to agree. Now, granted, I can't say the actual word that I feel because then it's just telling too much and it might be more controversial than it already is. So I'm just going to like keep it very hidden. Hi Frank. And that's what made me talk about miscommunication. So differences in perception. That was all about to talk about. Hola. Differences in perception. Then jumping to conclusions, which is also kind of what happened here, right? Like, this is how I see you. This is what I think of you. So therefore, this is what you said. I'm not actually going to read your words, and I'm not actually going to see what you actually responded to. I'm just going to make an assumption on your character based on what I already think about you. Sucks. It happens to all of us. We all probably do it, right? Um, but it's a barrier to communication because then it's like you're not listening, right? And this happens often. I read a book, I forgot the name of this woman, and I didn't read it. I'm lying. I heard it on audiobook. It was an audiobook. I heard it on Audible. It was an audiobook. You see, I have issues communicating. Hi, Paul. When we dehumanize people, when we just go, I don't want to mention anything about politics or anything, but maybe mention something. Okay, Hitler, he's dead, so we don't care. Um, I mean, not the you get maybe you guys don't get the point. I meant Hitler because it's not like it's a topical thing or he can do anything anymore. He cannot do things anymore. I hope. But let's say when we talk about Hitler, we dehumanize him. It's like a monster, right? And the way we talk about this person is like dehumanizing him. Now, because he's dead, it's cool, I feel. And maybe in the future it will be like the wrongest thing you could do. But for now, I think it's okay. He's dead. Done deal. I don't need to communicate with that person. I don't need to be able to hear that person to understand that person. However, if people that are alive and in positions of power are dehumanized, hi Maria, then we have a problem because if they're in a position of power and you're dehumanizing them, you won't be able to ever communicate with that person, or you won't be able to negotiate, right? Because there's no negotiation that starts with I'm right. When you negotiate something, it's like, well, what do you want and what do I want? Maybe we're not meeting anywhere, or maybe we could meet somewhere in the middle or something, right? But if you're not even listening to the other side, why will the other side listen to you? If you're not understanding the other side, you don't have to agree. You don't have to agree, okay? But you do have to listen and understand for communication to happen. And also to create those great points. That's how you get people to agree. Hola, dreams. No, espérate. Rómulo. Dreams. Did he have dreams? Drums. Drums. Dreams, drums. So for you to be able to make a point where people are going to agree with you, you need to start with hearing what they agree to, right? Like, oh, you agree to this one thing or this other thing. Got it. So then you get the main idea of that agreement that they're talking about, right? And you kind of refers it to them, and then you find where is that commonality in what you want and what that other person wants, and boom, right? But if you make assumptions, meaning like you are the devil, that person is the devil, how are you ever gonna come to an agreement? And most of these conversations are saying the same thing in opposite ways, meaning one side is saying, I was dehumanized. I was dehumanized. I wasn't heard. I wasn't seen. So now I'm going to dehumanize. Not really the solution, right? And I'm not saying that one thing is worse than the other. Like, I'm not comparing anything. All I'm saying is if we don't listen to each other, we're going back to like, caveman times, right? So, and to be honest with you, I feel like right now it's a time where a lot of people are not even disagreeing. We're just not listening to each other. We're just like, what side are you on? What side are you on? And it's like, in the side of humanity, the side of the world, right? We have a lot of issues. I'm not blaming anyone. I just did a whole show, Discover Project show, where we did a lot of research on what's happening to the planet. That's a conversation. I'm not going to be angry about it, right? I'm not going to dehumanize some people for things that happen that are making the situation worse and that are creating a lot of other problems. But it is a problem too. It is. But we really need to listen because we can't ask for others to like listen if we're not listening, right? Um, so jumping to conclusions, right? Barrier to communication. Then we have stereotyping. Gosh, it's like the same thing everywhere. Because we have to learn from our experiences, we run the risk of treating different people as if they were the same. You've met one copper student, foreigner, car salesman, you met them all. We often hear or words to that effect. Stereotyping, lack of information. And that is why, hi Nat, hi Mola. And that is why it is essential, it is important if you're an artist, if you're an actor, if you're a musician, if you're an artist, if you're a writer, whoever you are, if you create anything, um, and you don't even need to be an artist, just by the fact that you exist and you are part of being an other, then it's like, yeah, show the world how great you are because people need to see that we're not all the same. We are not all the same. We are not all the same. And I know I remind people, like I know someone that treated me terribly, and I was like, I never did anything to this person. So I felt that this person was like being mean to me and rude sometimes, and I was like, okay. And then I would see this person interacting with other people, and um, he wasn't being rude or mean. So I was like, oh man, I wonder if I did something to this person once, or so I waited, time. And then one day the person said, like, oh, da da da, you just remind me so much of my ex-girlfriend. And I was like, oh, okay. That made so much sense. And from that day on, I just said, you know what? I can't expect him to be kind or nice or generous to me because I remind him of the ex-girlfriend. So I'm screwed. And I know it's unfair, but whatever, like at least it was explained to me so I didn't take it personally. And I did for a while. But anyway, at least at the end I knew. Because I'm obsessive with things. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I didn't know anything to this person. Why are you talking to me in that tone? Why are you reacting to me in that way? And then it was a little late when this person told me about this. Lack of knowledge. That's a big one. It is difficult to communicate effectively with someone who has a very different background from yours or whose knowledge of the particular subject or discussion is considerably less than yours. Of course, it is possible, but it requires skill on the part of the communicator to be aware of the discrepancy between the levels of knowledge and communication accordingly. This is a big one because, how do I say this? So there's some issues culturally that people go, oh, don't even talk about this because you're not of this race or of this gender or of this culture or of this ethnicity. So you can't talk about it. And actually, when I talk, you just listen. I think there's something wrong with that, right? Because unstable. My connection is on. So why I pay so much money for this internet and it's like unstable. Anyway, oh hi, hello, hi. Oh, okay, no one new is walked in. What was I talking about? Oh, okay. So lack of knowledge. So for me to get people to behave differently with, for example, women in general, because I'm a woman, I'm sure I need to explain to them how it feels like to yada yada yada, and I need to help them connect so then I can get what I want out of the conversation. Because if I'm just complaining to just say that things are unfair, then I'm not I'm just venting. Maybe I have an issue with venting. Maybe that's what it is. But anyway, if I do want change, I think I would have to allow people to like talk about what they think about the female experience. And then maybe me listening to them, I can correct the ideas they have that are incorrect without with just the intention of educating, right? Someone that doesn't know something doesn't deserve anger from anyone, by the way. Unless it's someone that's willingly playing silly or dumb, right? Like, oh, I read it, but I'm gonna pretend like I don't know. That's different. But someone that actually doesn't know something doesn't deserve anyone's anger or frustration. Because that person doesn't know, you know? But then if you tell them and then they don't pay attention, that's a different story. So lack of knowledge, lack of interest, that's a big one. That's today's generation right there. That's the barrier of communication, the biggest one we have right now of this generation. People learn how to not care, and that's what everyone's doing. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Apathy, apathy, apathy. I see apathy everywhere. I really do. And I'm like, it's interesting how, the suicidal rate has gone high in America. And I see it everywhere where people just don't care about anyone or anything. But then they feel lonely, but they don't care about anybody else. And I'm like, and I'm and it's not that I care more, and I'm not trying to like play saint or virgin, but virgin. Yeah, I'm definitely not trying to play virgin. But what I'm trying to say is that you must care about someone, you know? And when you care about someone and you're interested in like understanding that person's journey, you would listen, I would guess, right? So, yeah, that's a problem with communication. I want to be heard, but I don't give a shit about what you're going to say. That's a problem. That's no bueno. Difficulties with self-expression, that's a thing, right? As if the communicator, I'm sorry. No, that's not what it says. If as a communicator, you have difficulty finding the words to convey your ideas, this will clearly be a barrier, my problem, right, with language or whatever. And you must work at improving your vocabulary. That's what I've been doing for a long time, and it seems to not be enough. But lack of confidence, which can also cause difficulties in expression, can be boosted by careful preparation and planning. If people don't care, if people make the assumption you don't know what you're talking about, you don't know what you're talking about, you don't know what you're talking about, there's no, you could say the most wonderful academic words, they won't listen. They don't care. Emotions. That's usually when people are angry, and that's why I'm like, hey, let's not be angry. But fuck it, people want to be angry. The emotions of either receiver or communicator can also prove to be a barrier. Any strongly felt emotion is liable to prevent almost anything but the emotion being communicated. The moral, of course, is to try to avoid communicating when a strong emotion is liable to make you incoherent or when it will totally distort what you mean to say. However, any audience knows that a speaker with no emotion and enthusiasm in their voice is likely to be a dull speaker. So, emotion can be a good thing when you're speaking in public. I agree to a degree. I like I can't say it because it's kind of political, but there's one person that as a speaker to me is like one of the best people I ever heard talking. And I miss that person being in the position that that person was because damn, I admire how that person spoke and the pauses this person took to make sure that everybody was understanding what was being said. And listening to this person speak helped me understand why it is important to allow the audience to have a moment to process the information. Like those pauses are powerful. Hi, Tirado. Tirado Prilwitz. Emotions, let's read. Emotions of either the receiver or the communicator can also prove to be a barrier. Any strongly felt emotion is liable to prevent almost anything but the emotion being communicated. The moral, of course, is to try to avoid communicating when a strong emotion is liable to make you incoherent or when it totally distort what you mean to say. However, any audience knows that a speaker with no emotion oh, did I just read that. I just realized that I read that. Oopsies. We're going to skip that. Hi, Matthew. How are you? Personality. In the example above about someone who appeared to be arrogant and dictatorial, we saw that it is not just the differences in people's personalities that can cause problems. Often, our resulting behavior can then affect the behavior in the other person. This kind of clash of personalities is one of the most common causes of miscommunication and failure. We may not be able to change the personality of others, but at least we should be prepared to consider our own personality to see if a change in our behavior may result in more satisfactory relationships. However unpalatable this sort of self analysis may be. There- These are only a few factors of many factors which can cause communication to be less than effective or even fail completely. But it is quite where am I? Quite a good place at which to end this discussion of potential barriers because it leaves us with the recognition that it is up to us, either as the receiver or the communicator, to make conditions as satisfactory as possible so that communication, a far from perfect process, stands a chance of being effective. So far, we have looked very briefly at some of the more important factors which affect our success in communicating. Now, let's move on to examine ways in which we might make sure that we communicate as effectively as possible. I love that. So, a few things. Hi, Dean. The why. You must have a purpose. This is like acting. This is connected to acting a million times. The who are the people listening to me? The where and the where, the where and the when, the where and the when, sorry. The what, the how. So the how would be like tone and style, right? Um, so then you should plan what you're gonna say. But then these are more like for speaking in public, right? So I think it's been an hour, 49 minutes. Yeah, pretty much done with the live today. Um, Listening, it's is a skill. Listening is one of the skills that have been, oh man, how can I say it? Because listening seems to be a passive skill. There's no way you know if people are actually listening. Because if someone is just quiet and staring at your face, you're like, okay, they're listening. Even if you like take pauses, ask ideas, it doesn't matter. You really don't know. You really don't know. Also, because communication is only 7% what you say, and then everything else is like body language and what people are thinking about you. So People want to be right about the assumptions they make about you. So, for example, if I remind you of your ex girlfriend, you're gonna, no matter what I say, you're gonna say that bitch, that cunt, that bitch, right? So, no matter what that person says, you're gonna find the thing that makes your bias correct. We all do it. I'm not saying that I don't do it. I probably do it. I'm not aware of it, but I probably do it. So if I look like a lot of ex girlfriends, I'm really screwed and I shouldn't talk to people. I should just stay hidden, or I don't know, have a profession that people already hate. Like, I don't know, police officer, judge, and just be that. Um, so listening is hard, but it's effective. For example, if you're trying to sell something, if you're really listening to what the person is telling you before you try to sell the product, then you're going to be able to use the information you gather from the person talking to you to then be like, okay, since you said this thing is important to you, blah, 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 right? So listening is so important for you to be able to really understand the person that you're trying to get something out of. Um, why do you want to improve listening? Well, listening encourages others. When others note that you listen to them in a non threatening manner, they turn loose some. That happens to my students. Oh my God. They get very loosey goosey, meaning they feel so comfortable with me. I do love them. I gotta say that I made a commitment with myself to, I don't know, I did something for 2023 where I said, I want to make the focus making them as good as they possibly can be as actors, as thinkers, as whatever, right? So when I'm teaching, a lot of people feel uncomfortable because they're like, they're being so disrespectful. And it's not that they're being disrespectful, even though some people might take that as disrespect. I think is that they feel very comfortable. I feel like my intention, my goal, my mission of like making them feel heard did happen. And it does come with a little bit of what people will call disrespect. But I don't think it's disrespect. I think it's more that they feel so comfortable with you that they do certain things that they shouldn't do, or they talk about certain things that they shouldn't talk with you. But because I teach acting, right, I need people to be comfortable. If they're terrified of me, their acting is not going to be as free, right? So I want them to have that freedom of being themselves. Plus, I believe that you have to be yourself first in order to then be able to be another character. So I feel brave enough to take the other side of them being too comfortable. So, possession of all the information. You want to be a good listener because then you would have the information. And having the information is everything. I had to learn the hard way, but really, having all the information you need is so important for anything. Good listening helps you to get as much information as the speaker possesses. Your careful listening will usually motivate them to continue talking and cite as many facts as they can. Yeah, that's all I can say. Yeah, yeah. Improved relationships. Ooh, this is a good one. Effective listening usually improves relationships between people. Yep, it gives the speaker the opportunity to get facts, ideas, and whatever feelings they have out of their chest. And I've always been, man, I remember since I was like 4 or 5, I've been listening to adults and their problems carefully. So I'm not saying that I'm always a good listener because sometimes if I think I know what the person is going to say, I'm going to like go and think about that phone call that I need to make or that bill that I didn't pay. But as far as listening to improve relationships, I think I do that a lot. I think no matter how I feel, I go, okay, I'm going to listen, right? And that's love. That's loving. Resolution of problems. Yes, I agree with this. Disagreements and problems can be best solved, and this is why therapists listen, can be solved when individuals listen carefully to each other. This does not mean that they must each agree. So, oh, great. Thank you, book. Um, Yes, this is why some people, excuse me, don't listen too much Be- because they're afraid. Am I burping? No. Yes. No. Okay. Because they're afraid that they're going to agree. There's fear of being in agreement. And I'm like, listening doesn't mean you agree. You're just agreeing that you understand. It goes like this. Oh, so you're saying that chocolate is the worst type of food you could consume? Yes. Okay. So you're saying that chocolate tastes like rubbish. I understand what you're saying, right? That's all. It doesn't mean that I think that. It just means that I understand that the other person hates chocolate. So don't be afraid of listening because you think you're going to change your mind. It won't. Trust me. Better understanding of people if you care about people. And that's it. I think we talked about miscommunication. Not everything that there's to say about miscommunication, but at least I was able to share a few things. I hope it's helpful. Um, Communicating is essential for actors, especially if you're rehearsing a scene, if you want to share something about someone or about the scene or issues that you might have. It is important to communicate effectively. I would suggest that if you're the type of person that is always talking, try to listen more. And if you're the person always listening, try to talk more. And you're going to run, if you're the person always listening, you're going to run into the same problems I talked to you about earlier, where, I hesitate to communicate. And when I do, people misunderstand what I'm saying. But that's what happens, whatever. People are going to not understand exactly where you come from. That's fine. It's okay. It's part of the process. But at least you're aware of how you came across, and then you get to fix it for future references. Thank you so much for being here, guys. I appreciate all of you. I'm going to be sharing other stuff soon. I am, and I said it that my goal is to go live as much as I can and every day, but right now it's becoming, it's hard. The other day I had a headache that I couldn't do anything, and it gave me, like, I was like nauseous, and I had a horrible headache for like the whole day, no matter what I took. And I was like so terrified because I was like, am I gonna like start suffering from migraines? So the headache didn't let me do much. And I was still gonna go live. I was preparing, and then I was like, okay, this is stupid. Like I know I want to keep doing things that I'm doing, but I'm killing myself right now. So I have a lot going on, and that's why, hi shoddy. Um that's why I might not be doing as many lives as I want to. So then it was a headache. Then I had a deadline for grades. I have a lot of responses to give on Canvas to a few students. I have to grade a few things. Did I say it? So no, I had to send the final grades, but then I also have to grade other things for the college. And then I have to create all the paperwork for tomorrow's shoot. Hi, Shoddy. So all of that to say that I am trying my best to go live and be able to share with as many people as I can what I'm working on, because I don't want to do all these things in isolation. But there is the book coming, and there is the one person show. So thank you so much for listening to me and for your support. Hi, Dee. Oh my God, I haven't seen you in forever. Thank you all for listening, for your support. I'll be sharing more stuff. For now, I have to start working on what I just mentioned that I'm working on. Um, so I'll share more. I can't promise anything, but I want to go live tomorrow. Thank you. Have a good night. See you all soon. Bye bye. Oh, and over here. I forget because I never have anyone here. I'm sorry, YouTube. It's your fault, not mine. But also, thank you for watching me over here. And I'll come back soon. Same thing I just said applies to camera number 2. Bye bye.